Trainers from across the world, battlers of all sorts, welcome to Poke Battle Network. It is Battle Nights, and we have an amazing event for you tonight. We have the EU World Finalists versus the NA World Finalists battling it out in our fun band draft format. And with me today, I have a wonderful set of crew and casters here. So let's go down the line and introduce everybody. We have Miss HurricaneKaz all the way from Gymbreakers, top analyst. How you doing, Miss HurricaneKaz?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to see the teams and the strategies between all of these championship level players here tonight.
Excellent. Championship level players indeed, as they are all champions. And speaking of, we have a 2022 champion with us from last season, Milwaukee's hometown regional hero, Rise to the occasion. Welcome to the show, Rise.
What is up, Sosa? It is a pleasure to be here. When you asked me to join, I was like, wait, who's battling all these insanely talented battlers? This is going to be an epic showdown, and I'm very excited.
You should be. It is going to be epic. We've seen so many of these battlers on stage before, and Miss DeFi is back with us again, and she's casted some of these battlers. Miss DeFi, tell us about some of these battlers that we've seen before.
We have seen so many of these great battlers, not just this season, but last season as well. And I am really excited tonight to be able to cast people like House Stark, people like Enhoff, Hot Pocket, a lot of my NA people who I've been able to see. I did the interview with Bird Power with her championship, which was really, really cool. So lots of great battlers here. And I'm excited to get to know some of the EU champions a little bit more as well.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're here. So we want to get to know these champions. Some of us might have only seen the NA. We didn't even see the EU because it was way too early in the day for us, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So it's really exciting that we're going to see some of these EU battlers finally show up for us on a stage here in our wonderful band draft format. And if you haven't been to Battle Nights before, the way it plays out is each team submits 5 banned Pokemon. And within those 10 Pokemon that are banned for both teams, the teams then will draft within themselves. So no team member can have the same Pokemon on their Pokemon of 6. So it's a wonderful just reach. You get to see battlers play with Pokemon they feel comfortable with, make the teams, and show their kind of play styles. It's really exciting to see these kind of plays and what battlers come out with, as we've seen them battle in just an open Great League in numerous amounts of times on that Play Pokemon stage for the last, almost, wow, when was the first one? May? Was May when we first got first championship? Like Liverpool, like early Liverpool, like the first one where we saw everybody live. And we've been doing them since DeFi. You've been a part of the organizations. You've been behind the scenes. What is it like to be at these tournaments, and how is it for battlers to go through this regional play?
It's cheesy, but it's electric. We always use the word electric when we're describing these tournaments, but especially in the most recent ones in Toronto, you could hear the people screaming. At LEIC, you could hear the shouts of the crowd through to the cast, which was just a phenomenal experience. If anybody out there is interested in participating in the Play Pokemon season, I highly recommend going. If you're on the fence, definitely do it.
Excellent. Yeah, I recommend doing it too. We've got so many tournaments up ahead of us, and we'll get into the future tournaments, as you can check that out on the Play Pokemon link. They've got regionals, internationals, and special events where we can have the opportunity to enter your ticket in. But we've talked about Play Pokemon. Let's look at some of these bands and get to know who our battlers are. So looking at these bans of NA and EU, this ban did come in after the new format came in. So they waited. It came in on Monday, thank goodness. And this is what they came up with. And both teams felt that the Flyers were done. It's over. It's Flyer domain. They're gone. Bye, Kaz.
My poor birds. Finally, their time to shine, and everyone decides to cut them out of Battle Nights. Fine.
Yeah, and I see in chat too, North America almost went for the mono water ban list. Like North America banned almost all water types except for the Noctowl. So that's really, really interesting, knowing that we're going to have fewer water types in this meta here tonight.
Does that mean that
And I
North?
see
Sorry, go
probably
ahead. Sorry.
two of the most common normal types have gone out the window with Noctowl and Lickitung. So that really opens up the doors for Trevenant, one of the most powerful Pokemon in the game. So people are gonna have to be creative with what they bring to limit that tree.
I like how both teams banned a bunch of flyers and then banned also like hard walls to these flyers as well. Like there's a Registeel ban from EU and there's an Azumarill ban from NA. Like there's still, even though the top tier flyers are out, it's still, you want to be able to play flyers. So you got to get rid of some of those top tier bans so that you can at least let loose and have at least more opportunity to play like the new Pidgeot that's out there, the Charizard that got wing attack too. If you want to go spicy Moltres of your sorts. So I really appreciate the teams are still respecting of this new move attack. How did you guys fare with the new move attack? Do you think anything special is going to be coming or going?
Meteor Beam. I think we're going to see something with Meteor Beam tonight.
We're definitely going to see some beams.
Awesome. Well, we're going to actually get into the first round of battles with D5E and Rise to the Occasion, and they're going to give us Colin versus Miss Anhoff. And then when they're done, HurricaneKaz and I will be at the analyst desk to analyze what we saw and then what we're going to see. So, casters, enjoy those battles. Kaz, let's go get to those books.
Yes.
All right, so it looks like we've got Colin versus Enhoff. Enhoff rocking that Shadow Alolan Marowak, Steelix, her classic Tapu Fini, Gliscor, which is another really interesting wing attack Pokemon, as well as Guzzlord and Galvantula. Enhoff loves rocking the spice, the interesting picks, and that's really what I see from her. That's really what I see from her team here tonight.
Yeah, I think the Tapu and the Steelix overlap with the Aero Draft League team she ran and got first place in the regular season. So let's see how she's able to fare them in this battle with a Trev into a Guzzlord lead.
Well, that is going to get immediately swapped into Colin's Cresselia into the Galvantula. So Galvantula probably going to be using Lunge to debuff the Cresselia as much as possible. But Cresselia is incredibly bulky, so it's going to take quite a few moves to be able to knock this thing out.
Yeah, these debuffs are going to be useful for Galvantula in this matchup. Cresselia able to take a Lunge and willing to just let this one go, as it is able to generate energy really quickly and is going to threaten the Galvantula with this Moonblast.
Exactly. So powering up the Moonblast, we're going to see the threat. However, Galvantula sticks it out and is able to feint the Cresselia. Colin looks like he has a Trevenant and the Mandibuzz in the back. So with the waiting for the timer, we see the Trevenant coming back in, trying to farm down the Galvantula, but no such luck.
And you know what? This Galvantula isn't your typical one. It's running Fury Cutter as its fast move, generating energy extremely quickly, and it's just being an absolute menace right now, getting off another Lunge against this Trevenant. And it looks like Colin is content just letting it go and saving both shields for the Mandibuzz.
2 shields and a Mandibuzz, maybe hoping to outlast the opponent, but Enhoff has a plan for that Mandibuzz. Gonna use the Guzzlord here, but then Steelix will still be in the back for it. So I really just see a clear advantage to Enhoff here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit too much for Mandibuzz to handle. It's a pretty neutral matchup for it here against Guzzlord, both dishing out neutral damage to each other, but Dragon Tail is just a very strong fast move and is very reliable in terms of that just consistent damage output.
Yeah, it looks like, though, Enhoff is going to try to finish off the Mandibuzz if possible with the Guzzlord. I really like that play because she hasn't revealed the Steelix yet. So she can keep some of that information about her Steelix hidden. Oh, but looks like we're just going to go right for it and kind of see the information we can see here about the Steelix. Steelix can run a pretty wide variety of charge moves and fast moves. And it looks like this one, Dragon Tail, it looks like.
Yeah, another Dragon Tail user. I think she might have been trying to catch an Aerial Ace there just to make a bit of a statement, but Colin was patient with his energy. Although he landed the correct move on Steelix, I think this is going to be just too much, as we said, for Mandy to overcome. And oh, and you know what, DeFi? I think. Okay, I take it back. I was going to say Enhoff might not try to reveal her charge moves on Steelix, but going to throw the crunch here just for safety and take game number 1.
Right, because Steelix can run Earthquake as a really powerful nuke charge move, but that has definitely taken a back seat lately. When I've been seeing a Steelix, it's generally with Crunch and then Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang having that reliable 100% debuff for the opponent. We didn't really get a chance to talk about Colin's team. We saw the Toxicroak, we saw the Trevenant. I want to see that Aurorus. Bring the Aurorus out, Colin. That's what I want to see. But instead, we're going to take a look at the Tapu Fini into the Trevenant. That's not where it wants to be. So we see a Blastoise, which I love, into the Shadow Alolan Marowak.
Yeah, Blastoise, a very tanky water type, is going to be able to survive this Shadow Bone despite being from a Shadow Marowak. Let's see how much this does. And a good chunk. So Blastoise is going to have to throw a charge move here eventually and threaten to take out this Marowak.
Yeah, so is Enhoff going to use a shield? No, going to let the Shadow Alolan Marowak go. And then I'm guessing bring in the Tapu Fini, might bring in the Steelix, but definitely waiting, being patient and using that timer. So we see the Tapu Fini, so we're seeing a lot of pew 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 pew, a lot of water gun going back and forth, and Blastoise getting to a move and throwing it right as it's about to faint.
Yeah, and Hydro Cannon just being such a strong move, some valuable chip damage against the Tapu Fini, who has a lot of energy and may get a shield in return against this Trevenant. Trevenant, as strong as it is, not the tankiest Pokemon. We see a Surf Bait. Is Enhoff gonna get the shield? And she is.
Very, very nice. And you mentioned Trevenant, not very tanky. If a Moonblast could land on that Trevenant, it would definitely knock it out. But Enhoff instead choosing to bring in the Steelix and start getting damage with that fast move of Dragon Tail. Trevenant going for the Seed Bomb, but it does get one of Enhoff's shields. So there's one shield left on each side of the field as Mandibuzz comes back into battle.
Yeah, a nice bait from Colin. And now this Mandibuzz is going to be able to just wall this Steelix in terms of its charge move pressure. Both Psychic Fangs and Crunch are resisted. So it's really just these Dragon Tails that are going to be adding up against Mandibuzz. The charge moves of Steelix doing virtually nothing.
Yeah, really going to be relying on the fast move pressure. So, but Mandibuzz can be doing some neutral damage here against Steelix. So really throwing out those dark type charge moves, getting that same type attack bonus to slowly whittle away at Steelix, forcing Enhoff to use her last shield before bringing the Tapu Fini back in to pretty much hard counter the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz not having to switch to the move of Aerial Ace, which would threaten to knock out Tapu Fini. But Fini gets to Moonblast. Mandibuzz is tanky, Rise, but not that tanky. Moonblast will definitely knock it out.
Yeah, down goes Mandibuzz, but Colin is perfectly okay with that because he can simply farm down, as you see, with the Trevenant and land a Shadow Ball, which should be enough to knock out the Steelix. And we see, boom, Shadow Ball going to take it down, and Colin evens the score at 1 apiece.
So we have seen the Blastoise. We have not seen the Toxicroak. We have not seen the Aurorus, which I'm very interested in. That Pokemon got a Meteor Beam update, and that's something I am very interested to see. So let's see what they bring into the next battle. We've got Galvantula. There we go! Aurorus, let's go. Let's go.
There is the dinosaur. And let's see how it fares up against the Galv here. Enhoff electing to stay in, knowing it takes a little while to get to that Meteor Beam. But we're not even going to see Colin build up to it. He's just going straight for Weather Ball because he wants to get this off before a lunge debuff.
Very good move. So that takes Galvantula down to almost a third of its health now, going down to a quarter of its health. The fast move pressure adding up. And here comes that lunge charge move from the Galvantula to debuff the Aurorus, taking it pretty far down in health. Here is the Meteor Beam, stores it for later, brings in the Trevenant, and the Trevenant and Tapu Fini are locked in on each other now.
Yeah, Enhoff going for the catch on the weather ball was a smart idea, but Colin didn't fall for it and now has a very positive matchup here with Trev against Tapu Fini.
Ooh, and Tapu Fini, if it lands a Moonblast, it will KO the Trevenant. So Colin does put up a shield to protect the Trevenant a little while longer. The Trevenant does have one less shield, but the Tapu Fini is now gone. We're gonna have to see. Enhoff has a Guzzlord in the back at full health that is coming in here against the Trevenant.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot for Guzzlord to try and power through. It has a couple of good matchups here remaining, but we have to remember that Aurora still has a Weather Ball loaded, which Guzzlord is not going to want to take. And even a Shadow Ball here from Trevenant is going to do quite a bit of damage despite being resisted. Shadow Ball is such a strong move and knocks about half health off the Guzzlord.
And here is that Weather Ball. Enhoff saving her final shield to be able to protect against this Weather Ball and then perhaps farm down the Auroras successfully. But Colin still has a shield and a full health Mandibuzz in the back. Mandibuzz being really key for Colin throughout this series.
Yeah, so much energy for Enhoff here. And against most things, right? Like, oh, I've got 3 Dragon Claws. I can probably knock this out. Not against Mandibuzz. The tanky flyer is going to be able to take several claws. And it's just going to be a matter of whether Guzzlord and maybe Galvantula can combine with their charge moves to eventually take this out.
Oh, gets to a lunge. Very interesting. Knowing that Colin has a shield remaining, goes for the resisted lunge, figuring that Mandibuzz will use the last shield and debuffs the attack. Enhoff also getting Mandibuzz to use a charge move to knock Galvantula off the field. So evens it up a little bit here.
Yeah, got the charge move priority there, which was huge. I think Guzzlord needs to reach 2 Dragon Claws here, but this is going to be a charge move priority. Is there any way this could be enough to knock out the Mandibuzz?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be close, but not quite. And then there is the aerial ace to take out the Guzzlord. Mandibuzz really proving to be the key here for Colin's victory, consistently bringing it to the battles. So that brings Colin, the Lille regional champion, up 2-1 versus Enhoff, the Peoria regional runner-up.
Yeah, tremendous first matchup there. Analysts, what do you guys think of that one?
I think I love Miss Enhoff Spice, but why did she have to give away my Guzzlord? No! Guzzlord is so much fun.
Secret's out.
Secret's out. Secret is out on Guzzlord, but Colin didn't need a secret.
As soon as Guzzlord was added to the game, like we saw the moveset that was released with it, and we saw how much potential that had against its strongest counters.
Yeah, it was so good. It was a great Pokemon to add. Definitely be trading the Guzzlords. But Colin 6 didn't need any Ultra Beasts. He didn't need anything special. He had one flying Umbreon of the sky, that Mandibuzz, and he did wonderful with it. He even brought in his Blastoise in a matchup too, and took some chunk damage to help him take the Tapu Fini down to half health. Like, great play by Colin team all together, like a very strong team with this new meta that we have here, having these bans and not being able to reach deep down. He still has a pretty solid team minus the Blastoise. I'd say pretty much these are all A+ tier Pokemon. Not
It's
saying
really
that Enhoff doesn't, but yeah. Sorry.
It's really interesting seeing the balance on Colin's team between, like, basically half of them being super tanky mons that are known to be super tanky, and the other half being kind of more that glass cannon sort of play. So he has one half protecting the other, which ended up working really well for him as long as he could have that Mandibuzz in place, because, like you said, Umbreon of the Sky can take all the attacks in the world.
And Huff had to really bring that Tapu Fini with only the real pressure and the Galvantula, because that was the only real pressure that Mandibuzz had to worry about. Not even the Steelix, as we watched, could even handle the Mandibuzz. Like, Steelix was loaded on energy. Like, just debuff at that point. And Huff, like, she knew it. She knew it. But, like, you got to debuff and just hope that you could just keep chunking away at Dragon Tails. But that was not the
Exactly.
case. Yeah.
I mean, in that situation, yeah, all you can really do is keep debuffing so that your Dragon Tails keep adding up more and more and more. But in the end, you know, not having that charge move pressure, and especially if your opponent knows it, can really make a difference in like the balance of power of a matchup. And that's something that Enhoff knows really well. You know, she put together this team that is, as you mentioned, very spicy. Fury Cutter Gal, who does that?
If you know Enhoff, we all know Enhoff does. Like, I was wondering where Energy Ball was on Galvantula too. That's her signature.
Exactly. But she also brought that Tapu Fini, which really helped her rise up to that runner-up position in Peoria. We saw that, like no one else in the history of any Pokemon battles, she got all the Moonblast debuffs that were left in the world. It was absolutely insane.
Were you counting it too? Were you like 3 for 3 at home? 4 for 4, oh my god! Poor Hot Pog, I felt so bad.
Could not believe it. I was like, no one has ever gotten this many Moonblast debuffs in the history of any Pokemon battle ever.
She knew it too. She was like she knew like she needed such a huge help out too for some of those battles, and like it was just never gonna happen. She's the manager of the Elite Four. Like, if like you gotta be really good and know your Pokemon and be a top tier battler to be able to call yourself the manager of the Elite Four. So this team, although spicy, still good. And I love how both battlers too here, if we're gonna wrap up on these two, is that they both still found flyers. We were talking about it earlier. The two big flyers are out, but they still found flyers. That Gliscor, I don't know if you've seen it in GBL or not, but it's popped up.
Oh my gosh, with the move update, Gliscor has become an absolute powerhouse in open GBL. Like, I mean, you think that flyers typically are out of luck against Registeel, against Bastiodon, against Gunfisk, like the Galarian Stunfisk, sorry. So, but the Gliscor, man, with that Earthquake pressure, can really put the hurt on those matchups that most flyers would run from.
Yeah,
or
and
fly from.
Get it together. It would fly. We're gonna pun it. Let's pun it up nicely.
Listen, there are birds that can't fly. I don't want to discriminate.
Gliscor is going to shake the world while it flies off away from those Bastiodons. But yes, it's a great move with the new energy generation by Wing Attack. Definitely looking at Gliscor and Hoff giving us all what to kind of look out for with these new meta Pokemon. And we really appreciate that. Aurorus with the energy beat by Colin 6. But we're going to get into our next matchup now, because we can go over these teams forever, but there's still 4 other matchups and some amazing team battlers here. So as we are getting ready for our next matchup here, we're getting House Stark into Vani. Ooh, I kind of want to see these two top tier names battle it out in World, so I'm glad we have them here on the stage. You've got Vani with the Frostlass, the Umbreon, Nidoqueen Shadow, Lantern, Jumpluff, and G-Fizz. Do you want to give about House Stark? Yeah.
Yeah, here we see some Pokemon, not necessarily from the latest move update, but other Pokemon that have also been very recently updated, like Lantern getting access to Surf, which gives it a much faster water power option. And we have a Jumpluff, which I love to see, a flyer that's not quite the same as the other flyers. Recently got access to Fairy Wind, which allows it to get to its attacks like a lot faster. Oh my God. And then over on House Stark, we see the Double, which recently became very relevant with access to Double Kick and its insanely spicy moveset of Body Slam with the potential of Payback or Wild Charge. So you never know what you're going to get, but you know it's probably going to hurt.
I definitely know it's going to hurt. And both of these battlers were like, we're going to keep Frostlass around. And they still found flyers, though. Again, battlers found flyers. Flyers are always popping up a team. And they both have, it's kind of weird. Three of the same team. They both mirrored each other. It's almost like we're watching Magic Mason again, Frostlass Umbreons, and G-Fisks. Oh my goodness, so much tank, but that double is putting on pressure. I do want to put a little quick highlight on Skarmory, the steel type flyer that kind of counters the steals, or counters the flyers, one of the best flyers to counter flyers out there. So I like how Stark getting that kind of coverage as well in his flyer. And another note too is that Machamp is also Shadow. Just a heads up.
Yeah, that's one I've seen a lot recently playing the GBL remix. Like that Shadow Machamp, just when you think like I can farm down, it's so glassy, like no, it's gonna keep throwing. It's just gonna keep throwing. It's such a powerhouse. And even though it is, like I said, pretty glassy, like it can keep doling out those moves and makes everybody worry.
Absolutely. We're going to see if this Machamp could make DeFi and rise to the occasion worry, or will Vani be able to keep his team and continue to roll on and add on points? So casters, take it away.
I am looking forward to seeing these two amazing battlers square off. Vani has a lot of different achievements already, this season being the Bilbao regional runner-up, but did really well last season too, was in the Last Chance qualifier, was in the Lille tournament, was doing really well, and House Stark being our Baltimore regional champion.
Yeah, Vani won arguably one of the greatest Sylph battlers of all time, a 3-time Sylph legend, and I'll be interested to see how this goes. I'm going to make a prediction that it's going to be Water Gun Lantern. We'll see if that prediction comes through as Nidoqueen into Frost. Not a great matchup, but we swap immediately into the Water Gun Lantern.
Looks very, very good there, Water Gun Lantern. Definitely an interesting pick here into the Shadow Machamp. Shadow Machamp is definitely going to be packing a punch, so Vani chooses to shield up the Lantern, who's almost at 2 Surfs already. Water Gun doing quite a bit of damage and also generating a lot of energy.
Yeah,
so Machamp needing to shield up.
These counters just so oppressive from Shadow Machamp. It's able to win so many neutral matchups because not a whole lot of things can keep up with this oppressive counter damage and getting to these cross chops so quickly. Vani going to elect to let the Lantern go, but hangs on to get to another Surf.
All right, let's see if House Stark is going to value the Machamp. Does chooses to shield up the Machamp, expending the very last shield on his side of the field, allowing the Nidoqueen to go in on the Machamp. Here comes the Umbreon, and then there's still a full health G-Fisk in the back on the side of Vani.
Yeah, I think this is a really smart play by House Stark to not allow the Nidoqueen to get all that energy and farm down the Machamp. He knew that could be really devastating, so he pivots into the Umbreon and still has a little bit of health on that Machamp for later. Umbreon's just so bulky, it's not as easy for this Nidoqueen to deal with.
No, but as the longer a battle goes on, the better Nidoqueen gets, choosing to save that Nidoqueen's health for later. And here comes the Galarian Stunfisk, who can take quite a few foul plays before being fainted. And the Galarian Stunfisk still has a shield. This is going to be tough for the Umbreon to try to chew through.
Yeah, Umbreon needs, I think, 4 foul plays to knock out a Galarian Stunfisk. Just 2 very tanky Pokemon going head to head. We see Vani building up to maximum energy before going over 100 and gonna unleash this Earthquake. This might be enough to knock out the Umbreon, and it is.
All right, and there's the Machamp trying to get a cross chop really quickly before fainting. The Galarian Stunfisk had a Rock Slide. Vani choosing to let it go, allowing the Galarian Stunfisk to faint. And here comes Frostlass into the Nidoqueen.
Oh man, and shields down. Is this Earth Power gonna be enough for Nidoqueen to flip this matchup? I'm not sure. Does a ton of damage, but it's not quite enough.
It isn't. Has to farm the Nidoqueen all the way down because Vani still had that shield. So that was very close. Oh my goodness.
Wow, what a crazy battle. And I think that decision mid-game of Stark to not let his Machamp get farmed down to save it for later is what totally flipped that, allowed him to get to that cross chop. And here we are, game number 2, Nido into Machamp. Terrific lead for Vani.
Very much so. I expect to see the Machamp get out of there. And here we're going to see the Umbreon. Vani looking to stay in this matchup, maybe debuff the Umbreon, or perhaps content to stay in the matchup. I was saying earlier, Nidoqueen likes to stay in a matchup and try to get a few Poison Fangs off. But Vani here, because he's not locked in, is going to choose to just debuff once and then bring in the Galarian Stunfisk.
Yes, this alignment looks really good for Vani because after the debuff should be able to maintain switch advantage here, at least I would think, and then is going to have that Lantern lined up in the back against Frostlass, and Lantern with that water typing has a pretty good matchup against Frostlass, resisting those Powder Snows. So as long as Vani can maintain alignment, he should be in a pretty good position.
I would agree. And there's that Earthquake. Would knock out a lot of Pokemon, not Umbreon. Especially, I think that's why Umbreon's been seeing such a rise in the meta lately, because it is just so tanky. But not a lot of attack to its name. This Foul Play is not going to be nearly enough to knock out this Stunfisk. And then just working on trying to whittle the Umbreon down to very low health, having to throw a Rock Slide to clear it out of the field.
Umbreon just being a nuisance to deal with, just surviving for so long, getting off so many foul plays. Going to be able to chip this Machamp with a Rock Slide. Housedark knowing it's just a Rock Slide. Machamp can take it and will leave with a bit of energy. And I was going to hope this Frostlass can somehow turn things around. But with 2 shields still in play, I think this Lantern is looking pretty good.
Right. Not going a Shadow Ball going unshielded. Shadow Ball is a very powerful attack. Maybe thinking there was going to be a bait play here, but it looks like Frostlass going to go straight Shadow Ball. But it's taking a while. Lantern's already up to 2 Surfs, can throw back to back, and Frostlass is at such low health. A Surf would definitely threaten to KO.
Yeah, just a very comfortable matchup here for Vani. Stark might be wishing that he maybe like shielded the Earthquake on the G-Fist, just fought a little harder to get switch advantage or get some shields down. But with Water Gun being more of a damage, oppressive fast move rather than an energy fast move, these Water Guns alone are going to potentially knock out this Frostlass here as Stark lets it go. And we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, so here comes the Lantern. Housedark choosing to expend the last shield. And then we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4 punches. Probably not counters, but 4 punches to knock out the Lantern. And then here comes the Nidoqueen, which is in such a comfortable position against the Machamp. Vani choosing to shield, might not need to, just because this cross chop won't be very effective. But there are 2 back-to-back. Oh, no, here, this is the Nidoqueen's play. So Nidoqueen is going to be able to knock out the Machamp here with Poison Fang. And that's all she wrote. Nidoqueen takes that one.
Yeah, just nice alignment from start to finish for Vani, and did enough where despite some quick swaps from Stark, playing around with some energy, going for the heavy charge moves, just wasn't able to do enough to overcome that tough lead of Nidoqueen into Machamp.
All right, we're going to have to see if that's a very interesting color contrast. But we're going to have to see if Housedark can tie it up or if Vani is going to have a strong 2-point lead here. So I'm going to be focusing on Vani's side of the screen. So we've got the Umbreon into the regular Stunfisk. That is a normal pancake. Not a danger pancake. That is a regular pancake up on the Housedark side of the field.
Yeah, Unioin Stunfisk, certainly interesting. And Umbreon plus Unioin Stunfisk, 2 bulky mons, very spammy in terms of their energy. So this matchup could go on for some time. And you know what? Unioin Stunfisk is probably glad that it's avoiding that Frostlass in the back. So I would assume Stark is probably going to have some Frostlass coverage that could make things difficult for Vani later on.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. These are two very bulky mons. But the way this plays out is definitely going to determine and kind of set the tone for the rest of the matchup. Neither of these Pokemon have particularly high attack stats. That's why it's taking a little bit of time as well. You pair the added bulk to having a little bit lower attack. But here we have both Pokemon down into the red. So now we're getting at the point where this is the last charge move. And it looks like the Pancake gets there first. I think this discharge should be enough to knock out the Umbreon or get it real close.
Real close, but Umbreon hangs on and gets to that foul play. When in doubt, does a move KO an Umbreon? No, the move just never seems to KO. And Umbreon barely hangs on to win switch advantage. Opposing Umbreon comes in to get a few Snarls head start.
Yeah, so this is going to bring in the Lantern, who's going to be doing a lot of work with that fast move of Water Gun. But it looks like Housedark content to stay in this matchup, throwing the foul plays and potentially maybe looking for an opportunity to switch.
Yeah, once again, a neutral matchup here. Both trainers yet to commit a Protect Shield, just content kind of dishing out damage back and forth. We're seeing some patient gameplay. Vani gonna throw a charge move here eventually. Lantern has so much energy and is going to unload a Surf at this Umbreon.
All right, and there we go. Umbreon down to about half health again. Umbreon, we saw it in the most recent Toronto finals match, the grand finals. Two teams with Umbreon, and this is why, because it is so tanky. The switch timer, or not just the switch timer, but the overall match timer does start to come into play in a lot of these matchups where you can win just by being able to outlast your opponent to the end of the timer. We see the Frostlass being switched in here, going to have to tank a hit from the Umbreon, forces Vani to use a shield.
Finally commits a shield, and it's the opposing Frostlass here in the back and down a shield. This looks just devastating for Vani. The only win condition I could see at this point is playing out this matchup as he gets the successful avalanche bait and maybe catching a move on the Lantern later on. However, I don't know if his switch timer is going to be up in time to make that play possible.
I'm not sure. We're going to see quite a few charge moves being thrown. We're going to at least see this one from Vani's Frostlass to get this shield. And then we will have to see if Housedark's going to be able to throw the Shadow Ball to knock out the Frostlass. And that should be enough. And it's bright yellow, but I can see that that is definitely a Shadow Ball being charged up. And that is going to be enough to knock out the Frostlass. Lantern's going to just throw a couple little water guns, but it can't do enough to be able to knock out the Frostlass here.
And you saw Vani there in that end game deciding whether he wanted to shield the foul play or not. In my head, I was like, you have to shield the foul play, right? But he must have been predicting Frostlass, and he had the dilemma. If I shield, then I'm down a shield against Frostlass, and just had to make the tough decision. In the end, Stark able to even things up 3-3.
All right, speaking of tough decisions, let's go ahead and see how our analysts can pick apart those tough decisions that our battlers made here in this match.
I thought she was going to say kicking it over to us was a tough decision as analysts, because we could talk for hours and they could just, sit down, pick up their seat. All right, let's tear this apart. Well, first off, apologies on the Nova Stunfisk on Housedark's side, not the G-Fisk, but still as strong as an adversary. Did put on a lot of work, but yo, Umbreon is so good, Kaz. I like, oh my God.
It's just, ever since the very early days of PvP, it has been an absolute mainstay of like any meta that it's allowed in, just because of how tanky it is. And no matter how many times you think, oh, now the Flyers are coming in, and now there's going to be like, tanks coming in, so we're going to need fighters. It's like, no matter how many times you think like that the Umbreon counters are going to come out, it still has a place in any meta that it's allowed to be in.
Yeah, right. All these Umbreon users like, oh, Charm just lost 1 point. We're all playing Umbreon now. They're like, can you believe it? We haven't seen a Charm user yet.
Charm lost
1 point. And I bet you Umbreon now will just regulate everybody. Be like, oh, we got to bring out Charm. You have to bring out Charm for this Umbreon problem. It is It'll be everywhere.
Ever present. But yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of really great plays there, a lot of really smart plays. And I mean, Vani bringing back the Shadow Nidoqueen that was so clutch for him in the Balboa regionals. I'm disappointed that we didn't see the double come out to play, but we did get to see how Stark bring out his Machamp, the Shadow Machamp. To try and chip away and manage to take down that Umbreon in a few situations.
Yeah, I was confused as well because we kept seeing Umbreon and Lantern coming out. Umbreon and Lantern. I was like, man, double with the moveset. You know, how Stark can set their movesets up until the matchup, right? So you can see what his opponent has and then set the moveset. Now we have a ton of Pokemon with tons of moveset that, you know, you don't want to switch lock yourself and lose to a match because, you know, you had the right Pokemon just locked on a moveset. This is, you know, you could have had an opportunity here to just double kick that Umbreon to the face. Oh my God.
Right out to the moon.
Get it out of here. But yeah,
and it's also interesting to me how they both brought in Frostlass too. I mean, you see, they both have Frostlass. They both have Umbreon, which counter each other so well. But we saw how strong Frostlass can be, even against its greatest opponents.
Well, Vani kept bringing that Nidoqueen looks so good, and I understand why House Stark brought his Frostlass. Yes, you see Umbreon, you see Lantern. Like now that Lantern's got that Surf, it is a Frostlass counter. You know, it can do some damage and put some real hard hurt on that Frostlass. House Stark not afraid of it though. He's like, all I gotta do is marry it up or figure out my throws.
Yeah.
I can chunk away, as you saw. He chunked away. He did, you know, Shadow Ball here, got his chip damage, knows what his Pokemon, his flip the wing conditions for his Pokemon. So he did a great job here in securing 2 wins for NA and getting them back in and tied up as it is now 3-3. And we're going to look at the third matchup here as we're going to get away from Umbreons. Please get away from the Umbreons. Oh my God.
We had all that great spice in the first matchup, and then we got some pretty standard meta. So now let's look at what we've got here. And now we see, again, a bit of spice on these teams.
Of spice. You got basics rocking.
Just a bit.
Picking pear.
I love that. I love that Surfetch. I love that Surfetch spice. Love that.
Is it Hurricane or is it Leaf Blade? We'll have to figure it out. But he's got Surfetch, Tapu, Skarmory, Ninetales Alolan Style, Univalfisk, and the Sableye. And Buckeye Fitzy has Wishcash, Lantern, Mandibuzz. Ooh, another Mandibuzz. Sableye, DD, and Diggersby. What are you seeing here? What pops out at you?
Well, that Diggersby actually could be really interesting because, I mean, the typical moveset you see is the Fire Punch, Earthquake, but with access to Hyper Beam, it could actually put a lot of hurt on, like, that entire team that Basics has brought.
Yeah, that is a great call, and they wouldn't expect it. I mean, even it's still a spammy, so it puts the fire pressure on the steel and the ice. So you're looking at real good. And then, of course, the Sableye does, you know, takes a minute for the Sableye to do anything. You might
that's
lose.
gonna be that's gonna be a painful matchup.
Yeah. The one that'll be is if Buckeye Fitzy does reveal the Hyper Beam, if it is Hyper Beam, then we'll see where Ufisk plays. Because Ufisk might have to take a bench in game 1, not knowing what Diggersby is doing. But again, both battlers finding flyers, even though top flyers are banned, and finding anti-flyers in the Ninetales. It could be Charm. It could be back to Powder Snow now, you know? Who knows what this Ninetales Alolan style has?
Yeah, I mean, the Powder Snow Ninetales, I think, has come back into fashion now that a lot more flyers are present in the meta, especially since it can power up the moves a lot faster than that Charm. And now that Charm has lost that 1 point, we all know how terrible it is.
Such a bad move.
Such a terrible move, right? No one's going to use that anymore.
Bench all your fairies. Let Umbreon rain terror.
And we see Lantern coming back into this matchup through Buckeye Fitzy. And again, I'll be interested to see if it's the OG Water Gun Lantern or if it's the more popular modern Spark style Lantern.
Oh, yeah, the Water Gun Lantern is good when it was on the Frostlass. The Spark, though, for this one would be good against Tapu if he felt like he needed that help against Tapu. But we will have to see as they will play it out. We're going to go onto the field now and watch Basics versus Buckeye Fitzy. So, casters, let's see what you got.
All right, so we will have here Basics up again from the Bilbao Regional Champion and Buckeye Fitzy from Salt Lake City, the father of Khaleesi Fitzy, the family that plays together and stays together. So two talented. Oh, and just noting that Buckeye Fitzy does have a Ninetales, not a Whiscash in the lineup.
And we are starting things off here. A9 into Deoxys. Let's see what fast move Basics is running for the Ninetales, and it is indeed Charm. I thought that was probably the case. Granted that Buckeye Fitzy has 2 Dark types on his team and has no Charm resistance. So this A9 is going to be dangerous, but a Rock Slide coming through from DD. Will it see a shield? It will.
Very good move here onto the Alolan Ninetales. Defense Deoxys known for its defense, but it just can't defend against these neutral charms. And even though it takes a while, we do see a Weather Ball come up and threaten the Defense Deoxys, almost taking it down to the red. Defense Deoxys here going to throw a Rock Slide, gets a second shield right away, going 2 shields down in the primary matchup here.
Wow. Interesting by Basics to commit both shields right away. We also had a reveal from our perspective that Buckeye Fitzy is running Rock Slide Thunderbolt as opposed to having Psycho Boost, which I think Deoxys normally has, as opposed to both of the higher energy moves. So something to keep in mind for later. We see a swap, and now, oh no, the Sirfetch'd punished by the opposing Charmtails.
Oh no, we're not going to see this Sirfetch'd do very much here at all. Sirfetch'd trying to land a close combat by surprise, does not. The Alolan Ninetales still getting 2 charms worth of energy there to knock out the Sirfetch'd. And that opposing charmer looks real powerful here against Basics' team.
And I don't know if Basics, oh man, this Charmander is going to go down, and he has a full health Sableye still, but Sableye is going to take a heck of a lot of damage to get rid of this Ninetales, and I don't think Sableye is going to have enough left in the tank after it gets rid of Ninetales to take out that very healthy Lantern. We see a Weather Ball coming through, and Buckeye Fitzy's Charm9 just too dangerous here in game number 1.
Yeah, game number 1, that is tough, but game number 1 is often an information gathering mission. So now we know that the opposing Ninetales has Charm. So Basics can take that information, knowing it's not the Powder Snow Ninetales, and kind of use that to construct and maybe make a difference here.
Yeah, both players bringing the Charmer, and now we'll see how they gear up. We see a Tapu Fini into a Lantern, a good lead for Buckeye Fitzy here.
All right, and we're going to see Basics blink first, bringing in the Unioin Stunfisk, and then we have Diggersby, which is going to be incredibly dominant here in this matchup. There is not a lot that the Pancake can do to hit Diggersby. All it can do is hit Mud Bombs for neutral damage. That does nothing, where Diggersby has access to Earthquake that is going to land for super effective.
Yeah, Diggersby just so bulky in the Great League, can reach level 50, I think even higher with certain IVs to reach that 1500 CP limit. And this Earthquake going to be devastating for the Unioin Stunfisk, and we might even see a very aggressive mud shot down with Diggersby to the point where it leaves this matchup with quite a bit of energy.
Yeah, and allowing it to kind of be very low in health, which is good if you want to stay in the matchup, not allowing your opponent to get a lot of farm off of you. So I'm imagining, yeah, letting this Mud Bomb go, Diggersby down to the red, so whatever comes in next isn't going to get a lot of energy and is going to be threatened by this Earthquake.
Yeah, an Earthquake, a very strong move It's going to go through against the Tapu Fini and dish out over 50% health. And oh my goodness, even gets off another Fire Punch for good measure here.
And Basics just determined not to be the first to use a shield in this matchup here. We see Basics reaching for the Ninetales no matter what comes in, which I think is going to be pretty good regardless. So here we have the Charm Ninetales up against the Lantern. Lantern's going to be firing Surfs really quickly, relying a little bit more on that charge move pressure, where Ninetales is going to be relying on the power of Charm.
And you know what? I like that decision a lot of Buckeye Fitzy to throw the Surf and then go into DD. Because now after getting that Protect Shield, it should be pretty simple to get one shield from a Rock Slide and land the second Rock Slide to knock out potentially this Alolan Ninetales. Buckeye Fitzy in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, especially being up 2 shields. So being able to comfortably shield this Weather Ball from Basics and now being able to throw the Rock Slide, still having another shield remaining in the bank.
Rock Slide coming through. Can Ninetales hang on? It cannot. And Tapu Fini still a little bit of health, a little bit of energy. But even if the Tapu takes out this Deoxys, there is a healthy Lantern waiting for it, and Lantern should be able to seal the deal here.
I would agree. Lantern is incredibly healthy. These moves are so the Lantern running Spark, so the fast moves being super effective, knocks out the Tapu Fini.
Yeah, just a really dominant win there from Buckeye Fitzy. He had the alignment pretty much as good as he could have asked for, with the Lantern on the Tapu, the Diggersby on the Stunfisk, and those two matchups were so dominant, it allowed the Deoxys to handle that Ninetales quite easily.
Speaking of Ninetales, we've got 2 of them on the screen. So we are going to see the Charms flying, but I'm interested in what we've got in the back. We see the Skarmory in the back on Basic side. Would have loved to see this Charm Ninetales. I don't know if it's going to get a chance.
Yeah, I think Basics really needs switch advantage here, but it's easy for us to say from here. He does commit the shield to give himself a chance for switch advantage. Because if he gets that Skarmory lined up against Lantern, that's going to be so tough. He does win switch. He has lots of energy, but will Buckeye be able to use this shield advantage to overcome it? Let's see.
It's really tough. It's a tough decision. Throws the Psyshock just in time before being KO'd. So Buckeye Fitzy bringing in the Lantern, so Basics is able to avoid it, align the Sableye onto the Lantern, which is going to put Skarmory onto the Diggersby later in the match.
Yeah, the Sableye going to be able to hang in this matchup here. Lantern just a little bit bulkier, as it is able to use a Protect Shield and get off this Thunderbolt here. Will we see a shield come up from Basics? No, gonna let it go through, and Thunderbolt's dishing out a big chunk of damage.
All right, and we are currently back again to even shields. Maybe tries to make a catch, not successful, and then allows Basics to bring in the Skarmory up against the Diggersby. The Diggersby is able to throw super effective Fire Punch, but being that it's not Stab and Fire Punch isn't that powerful of a move, Skarmory is going to be able to tank quite a few before being KO'd by Fire Punches. And we will see here we've got Sky Attacks being built up as well.
And you know what? Despite being a flyer against a ground type, this is a pretty solid matchup for Diggersby, because Diggersby is so spammy, it's going to be able to reach 3 Fire Punches before Skarmory can even reach 2 Sky Attacks. And the pacing here is just a huge advantage for Diggersby. Has already gotten the Skarm super low, as Skarm is going to go for back-to-back Sky Attacks here.
All right, and there's one maybe trying to get the shield to be able to land a Brave Bird later, but no shield. Has to shield this Fire Punch, I think, at this point. Yeah, shields the Fire Punch and is going to try to get some damage done here. So the Sableye has 2 foul plays or a return, chooses the return, and
Wow.
all that energy is going nowhere as Buckeye Fitzy Shields brings in the Lantern in a combo play to take out the Sableye.
Oh, just really cleanly played from Buckeye Fitzy. His nice timing of when he was throwing his charge moves allowed him to get all 4 fire punches against that Skarmory. And then the Sableye wasn't able to hold on in the end. Just really nicely played from Buckeye Fitzy and a huge 3-0 for Team North America.
Right, bringing up the lead 3-6. North America is looking really, really good here, which means I think it's time to kick it over to our to the desk to check out the analysis for this battle.
It is time. Thank you, guys. What a wonderful matchup. We saw charm galore.
Gosh.
We said we weren't going to see any charm, and 2 charm users.
If this is going to be an indication of like what the world's competition in Japan is going to be like, I'm just going to have a heart attack. It's going to be
so much energy on that Skarmory. So much energy on that Skarmory.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just the level of play that we're seeing here with these mons, like the knowledge of energy gain and like the stats and like the CMP, the charge move priority events, like it's absolutely crazy what these players are able to work their way around. Buckeye Fitzy had a lot of really good alignment there in those matchups. It just goes to show that also like looking at your opponent's team and really taking the time to analyze and think about what you're going to lead with, what you need in the back, and what your opponent might have in the back based on their actions, can really help you keep that alignment that you so desperately need.
Yeah, well, they don't have much time at the play Pokemon stage. As you meet your opponent, you find out what their team is, and you've got to know what your Pokemon can do. But here, they were given some time. They definitely had a little bit to understand their team and their Pokemon. I love how both of them brought Charm, even though Charm lost that, the death of Charm 1 point. The point. I do like it, though. All of these world champions being very brave. We've seen Charm play on both teams in every matchup, and yet Basics brought that Sableye. Still not afraid to play and use it against it because it was good against that Diggersby. Like, he needed that against the Diggersby. You saw him swap to the Skarmory there. It was just a fun matchup and great adjustments by both players. Buckeye Fitzy, though, the Big Papa, Big Papa Fitzy over here, the dad of Peoria.
Oh my gosh, what a cool story that was from the Salt Lake Regional. The fact that like he and his daughter were there together and approaching like the finals together. It was absolutely incredible to watch, like that whole playoff. And I'm so proud of that whole family for supporting one another in such a fun adventure.
It was really funny. If you watch the ordeal, it was like Bird Power beat Khaleesi, and then Dad beat somebody so he could take on Bird Power. Oh no, Bird Power beat Khaleesi, and the Khaleesi lost to somebody, and then Dad beat whoever knocked out Khaleesi, and then went after Bird Power, and Bird Power was like, nah, bro. You know who I am? It was a wonderful story indeed.
So much fun to watch, and watching Basic's run over in the regionals and in the European circuit was also like incredible. How he came out of the losers bracket and made the whole thing reset in the finals.
Yeah. You love those stories when they're down in the losers bracket and then they make it, go up there. Hot Pocket tried.
Yeah.
Hot Pocket tried last weekend. He hit the losers bracket, but unfortunately didn't make it through. But we are going to see the next matchup here as NA has a 6-3 lead over EU. Battlers having so much fun. And it's just such great to see these lines. As you see Tomahawk versus Bird Power. Oh my goodness.
And look who we have. It's one of my OG favorite birds, Pidgeot.
Charizard?
Brought from Tomahawk, UK. No. Pidgeot. But we do have that Charizard. So we have probably in all likelihood double wing attackers over on Tomahawk's side. Because obviously, I mean, wing attack is even though it is going to cost you an elite TM for that fast move on Charizard and Pidgeot, now that I think about it. So 2 elite fast TMs that you need there. Those are both going to be the preferred moves nowadays.
Absolutely, because it just gets those energies. Finally Pidgeot's unlocked. I have like 5 Pidgeots that I'm like waiting for them to be unlocked to Pidgeys.
You say finally, them. But I'm the one that has all the Pidgeots made for two for Ultra League now.
2? Oh, I only had Great League. I didn't even think about Ultra League. Good Lord. But yes, the wing attack
Best buddies maxed out. Come on, get on my level. Get on my bird level.
Y'all, you got it. You got it. It's all you, girl. We have on Bird Power, though, we've got Medicham. She's got that Mantine, another Pokemon that was affected by this wing attack. I've not seen so many flyers coming out swinging. And the fact that Mantines come back, we watched Weedle do really well with it over in, oh my God, where was it? It wasn't Paris. Where were they? In Stuttgart. Yeah, Stuttgart. Yeah. Did really well with it, putting on that pressure with that bubble beam and everything like that. So great. And she's also got the Regirock. Like, good Lord, the Regirock is here to play. You've seen all these flyers.
Oh, you're gonna ban
tanks.
You're gonna ban Registeel? So then I'm gonna bring in the other Reggie.
Right. You hate Lock-On?
The other Reggie that also hates flyers. Yeah.
That has good movesets against other Pokemon. I think it's got Focus Blast too, so it doesn't have to worry about darks or anything.
Yeah,
great Pokemon.
Actually, I don't have much experience with the Regirock in Great League, but I have used it in Ultra League and Silph Factions, and yes, it does get access also to Focus Blast, and it also gets Stone Edge for its like stab move, which it can get to very quickly. So even in the sort of smaller Great League meta where everything's just a little bit glassier, with all these new wing attackers, Regirock has a huge opportunity to shine here, especially with two flyers on Tomahawk's team that do not want to see that Regirock.
Don't indeed. We'll have to see if Tomahawk will play those flyers or if Whiscash is just going to be playing, because Regirock might be making itself present on the field as we are going to go down into the arena as NA has a 6-3 lead on EU, but DeFi and Rise to the Occasion are going to continue here. Bird Power just needs 2 points to win it for NA, but let's see if Tomahawk can put that down. Casters, take it away.
All right, we're back on the battlefield. We have Tomahawk UK from the Bilbao Regional Champion, Bird Power from Salt Lake City, but last season won in Milwaukee in your home turf, won the seniors division, 3rd place overall in the tournament because the divisions were combined.
Absolutely terrific battler, Bird Power, that has kind of exploded on the scene after Milwaukee. And let's see how she does here. Lots of flyers in this matchup, lots of rock types, as we see Regirock into a Shadow Drapion here, game 1. And depending if this Drapion has Aqua Tail or not, this could be a pretty uncomfortable matchup for the Regirock.
We'll have to see. The first move is coming through. It got there pretty fast, and that is Aqua Tail. Takes almost half of the Regirock. But then we see a switch out into the Medicham, which brings in the Mantine. Mantine is running that newly buffed wing attack and has access to both Bubble Beam and Ice Beam here.
Yeah, an interesting swap. Perhaps tried to catch a move from the Regirock that would be resist on the Mantine. We see a shield come up against the Psychic, which is a pretty nice shield. Psychic would do quite a bit of damage, as now Bird Power goes for this Ice Beam, dishing out some solid damage against the Medicham.
Yeah, and this fast move pressure from the Mantine onto the Medicham is certainly adding up. Medicham already down to the red. Mantine opting not to use another shield. The Psychic goes through, doesn't quite take the Mantine into the red, and it looks like trying to either knock out or just barely knock out the Medicham with a well-placed Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam does consistent nerfs to the attack 100% of the time to the opponent. Here comes the Drapion back in, but before Mantine can throw a move, Drapion is going to land a move here.
Yeah, Drapion just so spammy. Goes for the crunch to guarantee the knockout here against the Mantine. We know that Regirock has a lot of energy stored, and we see a catch onto the Whiscash. A terrific catch, which is going to really neutralize the damage from this Stone Edge.
That did a little bit more than I was anticipating. Regirock sticking in builds all the way up to the Focus Blast before sending in Medicham. Medicham is a favorite in the play Pokemon circuit. We see it all the time with a little bit of variety in the charge moves. Most recent, a Blizzard catches a shield. That was a
Wow.
really good shield call there on the side of Bird Power.
Yeah, I think that's one of Bird Power's strengths as a battler. Just has the ability to make really good reads and 50-50 calls. Able to take out this Squish Hash, is down 2 shields, but shielding that Blizzard just neutralized so much energy from Tomahawk. And now without any shields, can Medicham and Regirock duo this Drapion?
Well, we know Regirock left with a Focus Blast, which would be more than enough to knock out a Shadow Drapion. A Stone Edge would do the trick as well. However, Medicham has to get rid of that last shield. One neutral crunch does a lot of damage. Medicham's not going to be able to survive another crunch.
Ice Punch coming through. Will we see the final Protect Shield come up? We will. And this is going to allow the combo play from Bird Power, who is very quick to react there. Stone Edge should definitely be enough to knock out the Drapion, and Bird Power able to dance around and take a game 1 win.
We've been talking about how it's these younger players who have those quick reflexes, can do those combo plays. Very fantastic play on the side of Bird Power, furthering the lead for the side of North America.
Yeah, a 7-3 lead now, starting to really take command is North America. Can they keep it going? And we see the Medicham mirror match. I mean, Medicham, it's a bulky fighter. It's got access to some really solid charge moves, and it's also a fighter that resists fighting. So it's one of the most common fighters you typically see in PvP.
Exactly. And there's a reason that psychic types are banned from the Fighting Cup, and this is certainly the reason. Taking a look at Medicham, again, like I was saying earlier, one of the most popular Pokemon in the play Pokemon circuit, also has the variety of charge moves: Psychic, Ice Punch, Dynamic Punch, Power Up Punch. Lots of different options that Medicham can reach for. I've also seen in the past, tries to make a fight, thinking about making a catch, doesn't, fails the catch, moving on, throwing an Ice Punch. I was just going to say, I've seen a few Psycho Cut Medicham in the past, depending on the meta.
Those can really catch you by surprise as we see the Ice Punch land from Medicham. Nice patience, by the way, from Bird Power, not allowing Tomahawk to catch the Psychic on the Drapion. Swaps in Regirock, but as we saw earlier, these Aqua Tails really do chunk. So Regirock able to take the first, already a second one coming through. And Bird Power is going to let it go through. She's not afraid. She doesn't think that Drapion can Poison Sting down here, even after 2 Aqua Tails.
So going to be able to throw a Stone Edge here, and Shadow Drapion having that 20% debuff to its defense, definitely going to be knocked out by the Stone Edge. No shield, so we are going to see the Medicham punch down the Regirock. Bird Power still has 2 shields and a full health Mantine. Mantine can really help in the mid game by debuffing the opponent's attack with Bubble Beam. We'll have to see what the strategy is here.
Comes in with the Mantine here. Gonna commit the Protect Shield, and let's see if it's going to be a Psychic or not. It is a Psychic, so another nice call for Bird Power. And we see Tomahawk just willing to stay in here with Medicham, which is really interesting. And it makes you wonder what could be in back.
Ooh, because yeah, we have not seen it yet. We see the first Psychic land, no debuff to Mantine's defense. It's not a guaranteed debuff from Psychic, and we're going to see an Ice Beam fire from the Mantine into the Medicham. So again, very interesting that Tomahawk stayed in. What's in the back but a Pidgeot, which is very much not wanting to see these Ice Beams get fired from Mantine.
And this is such a tough call. You have to shield this if you're Tomahawk, and he does. He makes the call. A Bubble Beam bait there would just be devastating. because you would be debuffed for the remainder of the match. But we're going to see a shield come up from Bird Power to preserve this Mantine. And I think we might see a swap out after banking the Ice Beam. That's exactly what we're going to see. Bank the Ice Beam, swap out, and now as Tomahawk throws the move, Mantine might be able to seal the deal here.
All right, so the Feather Dance is going to knock out the Medicham, and we're going to see the Ice Beam get fired right away. The wing attack went through, so we saw the fast move go. And then here is the Ice Beam. Pidgeot being super weak to it. Doesn't KO.
Oh my goodness.
Mantine 1 HP and a dream. Stakes it out for Bird Power, increasing the lead to a 5-point lead for North America.
Holy cow, what a crazy game that was. I think Tomahawk's only win condition was anticipating the swap there, farming down, and then winning CMP against Mantine, but that is just such a difficult read to make in the moment. Game number 3 here, and Bird Power catches a tough lead.
Bringing in the Medicham mirror match to counter. Looks like Tomahawk is willing to stay in this matchup of the Medicham mirror, knowing that the Galarian Stunfisk is in the back, can kind of plan for it now.
Yeah, Tomahawk has been reluctant to throw any baits, so Bird Power once again able to shield the Psychic, and now playing this matchup out. Looks like some maybe latency issues, but hopefully mutual. And we're going to see a Psychic going through against this this Drapion. A catch was made. Very nice catch there from Tomahawk.
Yeah, but it's not like the Psychic did nothing. The Psychic did do a solid chunk of damage to the Shadow Drapion, but this Crunch is going to do even more, slowly taking out the Medicham's health further with the Poison Stings.
Another move coming through here from Drapion, which will knock out the Medicham here. Drapion just being a menace with its spammy charge moves. And I would imagine the G-Fist comes in here now that the Drapion's in Rock Slide range.
Right, and the mud shots not doing zero work either, being super effective. Again, we're seeing a little bit of latency issues. Looks like Bird Power trying to get over to the Mantine, but Drapion is going to be able to fire this Aqua Tail first.
Yeah, I think G-Fisk missed a few mud shots there. You know, Bird Power said in her victory podcast after winning Salt Lake City that she does get a fairly bad connection at her house, which prevents her from playing GBL all that often. But I think we're seeing maybe a little bit of issues here. Is in a tough position at the moment here with Mantine against Bastiodon, just not where the Stingray wants to be, as I think Bird Power is conceding here in this game.
Yep, so we confirmed that there's lag. Both battlers were okay with the matchup because there is just nothing that this poor Mantine can do against the Caleb Pang special, which is Bastiodon. Not a lot, so Bird Power conceding, recognizing that just wasn't going to be able to swing the matchup back in her favor.
Yeah, and as you see, Galarian Stunfisk reaching for that Earthquake, but as we talked about, definitely lag, as we can all see. However, it was a fairly RPS matchup with the alignment and some good sportsmanship on display from both sides, recognizing who likely would have been the winner anyway in that game 3. But overall 2-1 for Bird Power against Tomahawk.
Yeah, so we will have to kick it over to the analyst desk to talk about this 4-point North America lead that was strengthened there by Bird Power.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it because she dominated with that Mantine.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness. Forget about it.
I wrote in the chat, but I mean, literally step 1, 2 shield Mantine. Step 2, success.
Seriously, Pella per who? Pella what?
Yeah, who needs the Pelican when I have this other water flyer that will just bubble beam you into oblivion?
I had not seen the wing attack damage that Mantine had done to Medicham. And now after watching that, I can understand now why battlers would choose Mantine, because Medicham is one of the top tier Pokemon that everybody's bringing to the matchup. And if you could do that much damage to the Mantine with your flyer and still be able to like debuff, throw some baits, maybe get a shield advantage, absolutely. You got to know how to play your Mantine though. Like it's not for everybody, but she played it beautifully.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the other benefit that Mantine has over Pelipper is that it is tankier. It can take more of those, like the ice punches and the blizzards than even Pelipper can. I mean, Pelipper can handle a fair bit. It's one of my favorite Pokemon to use in GBL currently, but it still is pretty glassy compared to the Stingray.
Yeah, like you gotta shield. You gotta make that decision. Only has 113 health. You gotta make that decision on whether or not you want to eat that ice punch from Medicham or you want to give it a shield. Where Mantine, you're like, I'm almost at 2 ice beams. I'll shield here now. Sad we didn't get to see the Charizard, but happy we did get to see one of the flyers come out from Tomahawk side. How did you feel about that?
Exactly. Ooh, love seeing that Pidgeot. Love it. Though the Pidgeot did not appreciate that Mantine has access to Ice Beam.
No. Survived. I was surprised. I thought it was done. I was like, it's over. This thing's...
Pidgeot also is surprisingly tanky. Like, there's a hierarchy of the flyers, right? And I think Noctowl is probably one of the tankiest of, like, the newer flyers, Noctowl and Mantine. And then Pidgeot is actually surprisingly tanky. Especially since it also, very similar to Mantine, has access to that attack debuffing move in Feather Dance.
Yeah.
And then you have your Pelipers and your Charizards that are little on the glassier side, but do a lot of damage in the meantime.
That second matchup there, that they did where you got to throw to get, she had to swap out to lose the debuff to come back in. And I was like, doesn't he have it on? He's got another. Mantine had like 2 health. I was like, what was it? It was just one feather dance.
Literally just one.
Just one feather dance would have done it. But Bird Power ends up going 2-1 on Tomahawk. Great job by Tomahawk UK. A point there too. The shield on the Medicham. Huge. Great call in game 1. Kept the Medicham alive. I believe that's what Tomahawk needed to do for win condition. And it was literally all up on whether or not she would shield or not. And she did. Great call. Got her the 2 points. And so it is 8-4 now for NA. And we're going into our last matchup. And I'm actually kind of excited because like Bird Power, these 2 battlers are from our last season senior class. And they have won their respective reasons. And when I say won it, I mean like did not lose. They won out the entire thing. These 2 battlers are so just young, talented, skilled battlers. I am so excited. You got the hometown hero Kosiak there, bringing back his Victini and bringing in some real good spice. And then our friend Hot Pocket here, who's bringing in the Kofa.
Yes, bringing it, and you even have the shiny in the graphic. Oh my gosh, so beautiful.
I just like the shiny of it. Sorry.
And he's also, I mean, Kofagrigus is a favorite of mine, but he's also got my Pidgeot. So, I mean, I might be a little biased here.
Hey, here's a fun fact. Kosiak is the first battler that doesn't have a flyer.
Exactly. I was just about to say, like, is that absolutely no flyers I see over there? That's absolutely crazy. But he did find room to bring that Victini that brought him an absolutely incredible, like, nail-biting victory over in Warsaw. Oh my gosh. I rewatched that game earlier today, and I could not believe it. Like, my eyes would not believe what I was watching with that Victini against Swampert.
Yeah, ever since they put that quick attack, we talked about it earlier on, how Lantern got that serve in that second 2 updates ago. Victini here with quick attack can now access that V-Create so fast. This could actually open up a whole new fire Pokemon for some of those fire users. Love to see it. Excited. This team, I'm excited to see the Xylos and the Jellicent too, because you never really get to see them. They haven't really shined. They only shine on like metas where like you can stretch out and like really have to deep dive because they are two strong Pokemon. Yes, Guzzlord, the dragon dark type as well, but Xylos with the Dragon Breath. I love Dragon Breath. If you can get those fast attacks down, how many times have you come down to like 2 health and you had to just fast attack real quickly before they had to throw? You Shadow Clawed, you Powder Snowed, you Dragon Breath. Ooh, so good.
And the Dragon Breath being that much faster than Guzzlord's Dragon Tail, like it allows you to get sort of in that situation where you can get the farm down, whereas the slowness of Dragon Tail might allow your opponents to get that last move off on you instead.
Yeah.
And Jellicent is one we actually, I mean, it's pretty popular in the Great League, but not always like in the open metas. So I feel like it's one we see a lot more like in the Ultra League. So seeing how it's really diverse moveset with the potential to run Hex or Bubble as a fast move, or with its charge moves, being able to have Ice Beam as well as Shadow Ball, as well as Bubble Beam, like we saw the Mantine use in the last matchup, gives it a lot of really diverse options in play. And also, I've got to shout out the Skuntank as well. Really a spicy choice that I love to see.
Yeah, Pokemon that has access to dark, fire, ground, and poison type moves, which he can then put in when he sees, you know, the Scrafty or the Ninetales or that dreaded Walrein. I do expect to see a Crunch and Earthquake.
It's interesting to see the Shadow Walrein on both teams after it got that sort of like nerf that people were so worried about. You know, the fall off of Walrein was really crazy to like see in GBL. So now having 2 opposing Shadow Walreins could be really interesting.
Yeah, it could be. We'll have to see as it plays out. I don't know if Hot Pocket will even need his Walrein because there's no flyer on Kosiak's team, or Kosiak might actually have to be forced to bring the Walrein. So we're going to see how they play that out in our last matchup of the night as DeFi and Rise Education are getting into the 5th battle. So let's go down to the field. Let's check out these matches. Get hyped in the chat as we are seeing EU finalists versus NA finalists here in Battle Nights.
I want to see some Victini here again. How about you, Rise?
The spicy Victini. I am all for it as 2 youngsters go head to head, the present and the future of PvP. And I have to say, Hot Pocket's Scrafty looks really menacing. Like a 2-shield power-up punch Scrafty in the back would be really tough for Cooksiak to deal with. But that said, here we go. Game 1, Koffagrigus into Skuntank. Tough lead for Hot Pocket.
Yeah, so we're going to see that Coffin probably disappear real fast. And here's that Scrafty you mentioned. But here's honestly probably one of the best counters to the Scrafty is going to be the Poliwrath. Because Poliwrath's going to brush off the foul plays from Scrafty pretty easily. Scrafty's going to have to do a lot of damage with Power-Up Punch and rely on the Power-Up Punch counter fast move pressure to be able to take the Poliwrath out.
Yes, the thing here is that Dynamic Punch threatens to knock out the Scrafty, so Hot Pocket forced to shield. But if he wants to, he could simply double shield and punch his way through the Poliwrath, and I think that's what he's going to try and do.
Yeah, so really kind of just sacrificing both shields really early on, punching through the Poliwrath. I don't think Poliwrath's going to get to another move. Cooksiak has 2 shields, but what are you going to do with them? This Scrafty, like you mentioned, I don't know. I don't know, Rise.
Gosh. And we're seeing a Power Punch bait. This is very bold from Pocket. Go to the bait, and Cooksiak shields at the last second.
No.
And now, are we going to see Pocket go for the foul play? Let's see. Yeah, he is going for the foul play this time. Does Cooksiak commit the second Protect Shield? He does.
This Scrafty is terrifying, but I think it is going to be threatened here with this V-Create. V-Create being Victini's signature move and is incredibly powerful. Almost knocks out the Scrafty, is saved with just 1 HP back there. And then here comes the Shadow Ninetales on the side of Hot Pocket.
Yeah, now all shields are down, but Hot Pocket was able to retake switch advantage. Crunch coming through, going to do a lot of damage. And I think Ninetales had to settle for the weather ball there, not the overheat. So this is not quite going to knock out the Skunk Tank.
So the Skunk Tank going to be relying on a little bit of fast move pressure, knocks out the Ninetales. The Scrafty comes in and with 1 HP gets the power-up punch to take out the Skunk.
Oh my goodness, saving that power-up punch ended up being so crucial. I didn't even realize he saved a power-up punch there. And now Cofagrigus is where it wants to be. V-Crate is such a hard-hitting move. It will deal a lot, but Coffin is one of the bulkier ghosts in the game and will tank this no problem as it gets to a Dark Pulse here to seal the deal.
I don't even know if it needed the Dark Pulse. Once Victini debuffed its defense, probably could have just Shadow Clawed down. Going for the Dark Pulse just in case. And you were right, Rise. This Scrafty, Coxiac's going to have a really hard time. The only thing that can really effectively deal with it is the Poliwrath. And you saw how the Scrafty dealt with the Poliwrath. 2 shields and it's fine.
Yeah, I really don't know what you do to deal with it. HurricaneKaz was saying no flyers on Coxiac's team, and that's coming back to bite him right here with this Scrafty. We see immediate pivot. So far, so good for Coxiac. This is where you want the Coffin lined up against this Skunk Tank, because you can tank a Shadow Ball, and Crunch is going to dish out a large amount of damage.
Yeah, Hot Pocket maybe choosing to align the Scrafty onto something else later. But the Skunk Tank is going to do really well here with Crunch, being able to put some really big charge move pressure up against the Coffin. 1 Crunch isn't going to do it, though, just going to knock it down to the red.
Oh, wow. And this is a really good showing of how good Cofagrigus can be as well, because what you would think is a great matchup for Skunk, Dark against Ghost, Cofagrigus is able to flip by landing 2 Shadow Balls and taking the Crunch rather.
Hot Pocket is on fire today with these Pokemon. Victini able to successfully fast move down and then go into the Cresselia matchup. Victini right where you want to be with a lot of energy and the ability to switch out. Can fire this V-Create and actually fire 2 back-to-back if Coxiac chooses before switching into the Poliwrath.
And normally this is not a great matchup for Cresselia, with Victini's fire typing resisting both of its charge moves. However, Victini has to debuff itself to do any significant damage against Cresselia, so now it's debuffed, and a Moonblast would certainly threaten to knock out.
Right, and Coxia can't really switch out here because the other option is Poliwrath, and Cresselia hard walls the Poliwrath pretty badly. So Coxiac is forced to just continue to throw V-Creates to try to get these shields gone. Has to shield this Grass Knot to throw 1 unshielded V-Create. So Hot Pocket really just dominating here.
Yeah, but you know what? With Hot Pocket electing to commit both shields, I wonder if Coxiac can flip this now, because that Poliwrath in back is gonna, with shields down, is gonna be able to land a Dynamic Punch here. And will Dynamic Punch be enough to just straight up one-shot the Scrafty?
I don't know the Poliwrath matchup, but Dynamic Punch is quite the move, which really makes me interested as to why Hot Pocket pulled the Scrafty out earlier in the matchup, that with that initial pivot. So here comes the Dynamic Punch. Doesn't quite knock out the Scrafty, but it's real close.
Oh my goodness. Okay, a boosted foul play here. Is this going to be enough? It is resisted, but it's a solid move, and it does. Scrafty takes out the Poliwrath, and Scrafty, not healthy enough. Does Crest get to a move here? Oh my.
Jesus
that was
Christ.
a roller coaster of emotion in that final matchup. Victini able to get to the victory. I am perplexed by that initial pull of Scrafty by Hot Pocket. I'm sure our analysts are going to talk about it later, but here we have Victini lined up against Cofagrigus.
Okay, a good lead for Hot Pocket here as we see a swap into Poliwrath, and it's met by the Pidgeot. And this Poliwrath does not have Ice Punch, which is going to make things even worse for it.
Exactly. It does have access to 2 stab moves, though. It has Scald and Dynamic Punch. Pidgeot being a normal flyer, Dynamic Punch will do neutral damage. So we'll take a good chunk out of the Pidgeot. Feather Dance being super effective. Attack harshly fell. That hurts, not being able to land any damage before that attack debuff.
Yeah, and now after this attack debuff, Cooxiac gonna land a Dynamic Punch, but a bit demoralizing when it does less than half damage. And Pidgeot's going to be able to farm down and come out with a lot of energy. And the 2 Pokemon left for Cooxiac, they are not the tankiest, so neither of them is going to appreciate a Brave Bird by any means.
No, and there's still, so here's the Brave Bird not Brave Bird, Feather Dance. I thought it was a Brave Bird coming. It's a Feather Dance instead. So taking Victini and debuffing it and then going here for another move. And I took a peek at what Hot Pocket has in the back, and there's Scrafty back there still.
Yeah, a nice call from Cooxiac to no-shield the Feather Dance, but now Hot Pocket is going to get off another Feather Dance, and this Skunk Tank is going to be trapped in here, now double debuffed, and we may see a pivot into the Scrafty after this Feather Dance, and that's exactly what we see.
This Scrafty just absolutely dominating these battles, really being the key for Hot Pocket here, bringing it to every single battle. So the Scrafty has a ton of energy, is going to be really relying on that fast move damage, goes for a really aggressive farm down, does not quite make it, chooses to let the Flamethrower go.
Flamethrower coming through, not going to be enough to knock out Scrafty, who still has all this energy. And this is just brutal if you're Cooxiac, because you know he's probably going to bait at this point with a Power Punch, and you call the bait. But I don't think it really matters at this point, because the Victini is just going to get so low that Cooxiac might be saying, well, if I'm going to go down, at least I'm going to go down 2 shield flexing.
So there we go. Quick attacks down the Scrafty, and that poor Victini has 2 shields and no health whatsoever. So there is the first V create, takes half of Kofagrigus, and then a catch onto the Pidgeot. Just unnecessary. Going for the catch, and then there we go. Coffin going to knock out the Victini. So Hot Pocket taking that with on the wings of Pidgeot.
Wow, just a dominant Scrafty Pidgeot duo there as Hot Pocket gets the win, and Team NA able to take the 10-5 victory over Team EU. Analysts, what'd you guys think?
What did I think? I think that
Oh
bird.
my God.
I think you need a bird on your team. That's what I think. I think you need a fly, or else Scrafty's just gonna terrorize everything in your mom. Oh my goodness! Great call.
Gracious.
Also, I thought never doubt Hot Pocket ever again. Don't, if he's not shielding anything, I will never say, "What are you doing?" Because he knows what he's doing. Like 2 health, Scrafty lived with like 2 health. Like Dynamic Punch is going through. Are you kidding me? And he's like, "Yeah, no, it's fine."
Absolutely wild. I mean, we just talked about before how he used his Victini so well in the Warsaw Regionals, but like seeing him, absolutely like, use it to its fullest potential in these games too, just brilliant.
Yeah,
Love to see it.
Both the battlers played well. It was a draft format around both teams, so these battlers aren't just playing with the same. You're not seeing Stunfisk, Noctowl, and Medicham on all these teams. You're seeing so many different battlers coming up with so many different play styles, and it's just been amazing to watch all day. Yes, NA did have 10 wins over 5. Does not matter because all those champions are just so good, and they deserve a huge nod. It was just a matter of drafting at some points. We saw Umbreons on Umbreons. We saw Scrafty just dominate all, but at the end of the day, the battlers definitely showed up, and it was amazing to watch all of these matches.
Well, like I said, I mean, if this is the level of play that we're seeing here in these draft leagues, like, I cannot wait for Worlds. Like, I cannot wait to see these same battlers with full knowledge of their teams going and dominating the competition there and playing out these matchups against one another in like the full arena that we're gonna see. It's gonna be absolutely incredible.
We might see some rematches. We might see some of these same battlers go head to head in Yokohama, Japan in August 2023.
Oh my goodness. Real quickly, let's look at the battlers that will be at the stage as well. So we do have the NA and EU, and as we had added this weekend, we had Magic Mason and Brown Baller winning the regional Toronto tournament, those carpool buddies. We had EU, we had Emmy Weedle and Pokey Squark joining the EU team now. Latinum, we had Lindsay LNDS Rarjif, I always have a problem with that one, and Sarura.
Harjev.
Arjev?
It's like an H sound, like
Harjev. Okay. LNDS Harjev. And we had JW, Naldo, and then we had they are the only ones that actually had an IC so far, and that had four other winners. Gabriel Yehovah, Arnutol, and Patrick Albany. It also had Yarhef. He also qualified through IC into Worlds as well, but he won his earlier matchup. And then we had Oceanic kick off their first tournament this last weekend out in Brisbane. Thank the goodness. And we had Valiant Vish and Fishy Leg coming out there on top. So all these battlers will be joining the champion of last season, Dancing Rob, at Yokohama.
Oh, gonna be so incredible. And there's still so many regional competitions left to go as we actually get into 2023, the year.
Yeah. There's so many up ahead. Uh-oh. I don't have that flyer. Never mind. There are so many up ahead. We have Arlington coming up next weekend. We have Latinum will have January 21st. EU will have a January 21st will be Liverpool. January 6th will be San Diego, and those three are the closest ones that we'll be having, as March will be Oceanic, and we have nothing else scheduled for Latinum, but we will post that up in the graphic as well. Rise, are you planning on going to any of these? DeFi, Hurricane, are you planning on going to any of these so I can avoid those tournaments?
I'll be competing in my first one just next weekend in Arlington. After that, I'm booked for San Diego. So I'll probably see you there. So
No.
I have family in San Diego, and I kind of booked the tournaments I'd be competing, because I can't go to all of them. I'd love to go to all of them, but
true.
Either ones that were geographically close to me or places that I've never been that I'd like to visit. So that's kind of my thought process. So I'm booked for Arlington, San Diego, Orlando, and from there we shall see.
Awesome.
Ooh, I'll see you in Orlando then.
Okay.
Because I'm being in the Southeast and a little, like, I feel a little more travel locked as to what I can arrange. I'm planning to go to Orlando, Knoxville, and probably Charlotte, because those three I can easily drive to, which is very, very good, very convenient. So I'll be at least those three.
Yeah, and I have plans. Hopefully going to be casting quite a few more this season.
Yes.
Definitely you will see me at NAIC and Milwaukee for sure. I will be going to, no matter what, whether casting or competing, I will definitely be in Milwaukee.
Nice. I'm going to San Diego. I'm so excited to see you, Rise. I know I just was upset, but whatever, man. I love playing battlers, and I can't wait to battle you on a stage, or at least on the side. It's just going to be so much fun. But that's what I plan on doing, because there is nothing else on the West Coast. Fresno, they unlocked Fresno, I think, in June, but that's not until June. So, but like you were saying, it's just flying's a little bit, traveling's a little hard. I know there's a lot of battlers, but I'm really excited for San Diego. I actually think that's going to be the first time the world's going to finally see LA. I think LA's been way too quiet. I know I hype up LA scene, but it's actually like top tier battlers, one of the top notch battlers. So it's going to be big. I think Arlington is almost, is it at 100 already? I thought they hit 100
Arlington,
this
I
week.
think, had about, last time I checked, Arlington had about 30 or 40 seats remaining. San Diego sold out.
Yeah. Love to see
San
it. Love
Diego's
to see
already
that.
sold out.
Arlington was at 86 earlier today.
86. Oh, love to see that.
Mhm.
Yes, that's going to be a great tournament as well. I'm so excited to see. I know we were talking about how hard it is to travel, but when you actually get to see like 87 battlers, 57 or 67 plus go and actually tournament and get to see this run, it's beautiful and good for them. And go out there. If you are looking to do that, go out there and register and find ones near your area. We have been posting up on the chat here today, but go check out playpokemon.com for all of your regional information. Find the one closest to you, have some OGLs, and go out in person. As DeFi said, it's just electric. And I personally love in person, so I cannot wait and cannot imagine what the energy is like on like that kind of set.
Even watching the streams at home, it like you can like feel how intense the competition is, and like seeing like the interactions between all these like high level players like in person has been just incredible to watch. And I can't wait to go to my first ones next year, because like they announced all of the ones last year so late that I was like, oh well, I guess no. So I'm really, really excited to be able to go to multiple competitions and meet some people for the first time and actually like compete on potentially a large stage.
Yeah, this past season I had the opportunity to compete in some, and then also spectate, and in tournaments like Indianapolis and Milwaukee, I got like those feelings back as someone that was a sports guy growing up. I got those feelings like before a big basketball game, like those nerves of trying to win, trying to prepare. And then as a fan, after Milwaukee, I decided to just spectate for NAIC. And I just felt like a sports fan, right? I just felt like I was in the crowd, like cheering on some friends, watching these amazing matches. And you really have that fun atmosphere.
That's great. I'm so excited. I love in person. I haven't done we've been doing small in persons out here, but that LA mega, Portland megas that were hosted by Sylph before everything that kicked off, like was getting everybody hyped. I'm so glad we're back in it. It's going to be great. You should go check it out again. But to all of us out here now, we do have these champions who went out and won their tournaments, gave us a beautiful battle night versus EU versus NA. And when Oceanic and Latinum get up to 5, or when Oceanic has at least 4 more players jump on their list, we will be putting out an Oceanic Latinum as well, because providing content and introducing battlers to who's out there is what this is all about, and just so much fun. And these battlers really had a great time, and they loved doing it, and they were so appreciative of the tournament. So I'm appreciative that they want to be here to show you, the audience, what they're doing. So thank you, battlers, for participating, and thank you, casters, for being a part of this tonight. Such a great night we had.
Yeah, this was so much fun. It's like, again, just a high level competition in a fun way between all these players was really incredible to watch. So thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, much appreciated to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was an awesome event, Sosa. And one more thing is there's kind of that competition, right, of these different qualifiers in terms of their different regions and who does the best at Worlds. And at London Worlds, only 2 people from NA made day 2, and It's Axon was the only North American that made the top 8. Yeah. So Asia, EU, and LATAM all had more top 8 players than NA. So I think as someone from NA, I think we have to step up our game.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start doing my homework.
It's Pidgeots and Umbreons from now on. Pidgeots and Umbreons from now on.
That's it. That's the only thing I'm studying, baby.
Absolutely agree with you. NA needs to step it up. But congratulations to Dancing Rob. He was London's finalist, being from EU. So he is waiting on his throne. You could see him now just counting the days. He actually went out to Stuttgart this weekend and had a great time with everybody there. So good luck to all of you champions things that are going. Hopefully I'll see you in Yokohama as well, either as battling or working behind the scenes. But it's so exciting to see all this happening. We appreciate you all for taking the time. Thank you, casters. Who are we rating now?